Marfoogle News going live in 3, 2. All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam McKay Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today we have a lot to go over in a short amount of time, and again, there's just a ton here. We're going to talk about this goofy and absolutely disgusting plot against the president at the UN. First of all, this is just like the opening, and I'm sure that this humiliated the president and his wife and probably led to his fury speech at the UN. We're going to go over that speech later. That speech is essentially a flip-flop and a 180 from what everybody thought. Everybody was talking about peace and this and that. Now the president has essentially flip-flopped on what he's thinking, and now he's really saying that, you know, war may be the answer. We'll go over why we believe that as well. So first of all, the White House exposes the dangerous plot to humiliate him and his wife, being the president and Melania. Trump and First Lady Melania Trump were forced to walk up an escalator on Tuesday after it suddenly broke as the couple entered the UN headquarters in Manhattan. Now, at first, you might think that this is an accident, but there's reasons why this absolutely wasn't. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt immediately cited a report by The Times on Sunday that noted UN staff had joked that they could turn off the escalators and elevators in the building. The pranksters reportedly planned to make Trump walk up the stairs and simply tell them they ran out of money. If someone at the UN intentionally stopped the escalator as the president and the First Lady were stepping on, they need to be fired and investigated immediately, Leavitt fumed on a post on X. The mishap seemed to be set the tone for Trump's fiery tirade, with the president later sneering, "All I got from the United Nations was an escalator on the way up that stopped in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen." Now, I don't know if I've actually been on an escalator that stopped, and I've been on one of those flat escalators that they have in the airport that stopped. It's actually quite jarring. Now, that's not the dangerous part. If this was probably our last president, to be honest, I think then it could actually be something that may injure. Who knows? It could have injured our current president. Either way, it's not something that's super professional either. But them saying that they would possibly do it, and this cited in the actual Times, basically says that this was planned, that this was funny to them. And you see this immature, humor across the board. And it's honestly, it's quite disgusting, to say the least, as far as how people are acting that are grown adults. But that's just the least of it. As he's going in there, you could probably see, and the thing is like, his speech that came after that, most of these speeches are wrote by some speechwriter. I don't know if he just went off the cuff and did this kind of speech, but obviously he spoke in that speech about many things. So we'll go over that, including the teleprompter going off or having problems as well. So there's been a lot of things that, in the behind the scenes where the president is essentially having people try to screw him over and make him look stupid. So, first of all, before we keep going, I do want to remind you guys, make sure to go check out Energy if you haven't already. This is an incredible solar generator. There's only going to be a few left. Again, this is one of our affiliates that we had for 2 years straight until they stopped selling to the public. There is a small batch that is open, that is ready to go, that you do not have to wait 6 to 8 months for, like all of our previous customers that ended up grabbing this. Again, go over to marfooglenews.com/energy and go check it out. This is the same solar generator that won the military contract for the U.S. Army. This thing's reinforced with steel. It has a built-in heater for extreme cold. It's water and weather resistant, and it is modular, meaning that you can change it out. You can have 1 battery, 5 batteries, 40 batteries, not to mention you have different mods that can alter its actual service. You can charge it from the wall, or you can charge it from the sun. Go to marfooglenews.com/energy and make sure to use the code Marfoogle, not only to save money, but to save our channel as well. It helps us out at the same time as preparing yourself. All right, let's bring my co-host/internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing today?
Hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine. Him stopping on that escalator is also could have been considered a security threat. And it was kind of funny because it wasn't like Secret Service jumped into it. They sort of looked around like, who's going to turn the escalator back on? Whereas you would think they might have said, "Oh, did somebody do that purposefully because something's about to go down?" Right?
What if they stopped him on the escalator because that was where a window lined up perfectly with the president? Think about that. And honestly, that is pretty freaky, because if you think about a lot of these like big, huge, meetings and headquarters that they do these in, you're halfway up the escalator. Maybe there's a fourth-story window that frickin' lines up with the escalator, because when you're riding the escalator, a lot of these buildings design them so as you're riding up the escalator in the malls or wherever, they line it up with some sort of beautiful view while you ride up the escalator. So I could imagine it lining up with a third-story window, stopping in the middle, and then somebody taking a pot shot at him, and just the perfect timing. Because if you don't have the perfect shot, what if you made the perfect shot? After the last 2 weeks of having the Flight 1300 Spirit Airlines flight, not responding and heading right towards him, the next day, I guess, they said that it was a hydraulic issue and they did an emergency landing, but there was also a story that came out later that some guy got arrested for shining a laser light at the actual president's helicopter. So it shows that they are pretty paranoid about that. I'm surprised, Dex, that the Secret Service did not jump in when that happened. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and technically he's in a trapped position, whatever's at the top and what's in the bottom. And if he's not moving, of course, he'll start moving himself because he's capable. He's not disabled, but still, for a brief moment in time, you now have you're in a position that is vulnerable. Now, mind you, they're in the UN building, so they've probably already been through security and it's fairly secure, but still, his security detail, I think, should have thought a little differently about that.
Yeah, that's kind of freaky. And then, so a major shift. If you heard his speech, then you already know. There's been a ton of just like 180s right here. In a major shift, Trump says that he now thinks that Ukraine can win back all of its territory taken by Russia. President Donald Trump said Tuesday afternoon that he thinks that Ukraine, with help from the European Union, could win back its territory from Russia and return the country to its original borders. The president has suggested numerous times that giving up some land would be a key component of resolving Ukraine's war with Russia. After getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine-Russia military and economic situation, and after seeing the economic trouble it causing Russia, I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in a position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. So what changed? What changed from the super friendly, oh, it might have been an accident? Did they get information that says that, the drones weren't an accident? Do they see that they are trying to invade NATO? Like, what the heck changed? Dex, what do you think? I mean, he's through all of in the last 24 hours, he's changed on a lot of things.
Yeah. He said a while back that there was going to be a point in time in which he knew which way Russia was going to go. And maybe that point, he said it was a couple of weeks, 3 weeks, he would know if negotiations were going to work out. And maybe he's just had it. Maybe he's to the point where he's like, you know what? This is the point and I'm making a decision. And the decision is to go against, completely flip around 180 and go against Russia. Or maybe he's just having a bad day and he's just really mad over everything that was going on in the UN. But it certainly does seem like this is a big 180, because he was saying, hey, give up territory. And now he's saying, no, we'll win all that back. We just need the help of NATO.
Well, I have to say, for when you hear him speak in this whole thing, there's not one slip up. It's him, right? And most recently, he's had issues at a couple of these, speeches, and I really wonder if they convinced him to do teleprompters, and when he does the teleprompter, I think he has more problems than when he just goes off the cuff. Because he just straight up goes into all of these things, and you wonder if he is going to say all of these things, and there's very serious things he said that he just declared to the world during these speeches, the entire UN. There's headlines across the world saying that everyone's shocked by what he's saying. And it's like, well, is he gonna calm down? Like, was he literally pissed? But some wonder if he is kind of exerting his power. He's like, I could do this, but I haven't been this whole time. I could, go fire on the earth, but I'm not. I'm trying to make peace. And this just pissed me off. You guys insulted my wife, something like that. In his head is going on. And then he goes out and he just goes, fire and fury, talking about pretty much 180 on a ton of things. So who knows? Maybe in a couple days he'll calm down and go, yeah, well, we're going to calm down a little bit. Hopefully that's the case, because if you hear what is going on right now, you will understand. In the last 24 hours, it is most definitely going the direction of war. There's many reasons. We're going to show you that on our next show as well. But Dex, do you want to talk about how the European Union is going to hell and what he went on to say next?
Yeah, so he basically returned to the 80th UN General Assembly for the first time in obviously 5 years, and the way he spoke was much different than the time he did 5 years ago. 5 years ago, he had everybody sort of chuckling and laughing, and gave a pretty decent speech. Then this time, he had everybody sort of in shock. Of course, he hit his favorite topics of politics and immigration, telling assembly members it's time for their failed experiment of open borders to end. He said that it's uncontrolled, your countries are being ruined. While criticizing immigration in Europe, he also took a dig at the mayor in the UK and went so far as to say that that mayor or London is heading towards a Sharia law and pushing and that type of legal system or shift to that legal system, which is a pretty bold statement for the president of the United States to say about the politics of London specifically. He said he also went on to say, I have to say, I look at London where you have a terrible mayor, a terrible mayor, and it's been so changed. And he went on to talk about that law. He basically told everyone they're going to hell and their countries are just, they're doomed. And he went off on the whole green initiative, which you can expect. That's been a topic that he's pushed even, last round too. He was always against as he calls it, the green scam. But he said that he told the countries they need to get away from all that. And then he complained about, that Europe's on the brink of destruction over its, renewable energy, which could be a hint towards the notion of all the embeddedness they have with China and solar. And the fact that maybe there's a lot of backdoors now into that power system, and that could cause a great problem that we've talked about here on our channel. He goes on and on, but basically he just let them all have it. He just laid it out there, not like new things, but obvious things that he would normally talk about, but very much in a Trump style, not a funny style, but a very stern style. And then he did say the only thing he got from the United Nations was an escalator that stopped in the middle and a teleprompter that didn't work. So basically throwing some shade at the UN, saying they're not doing anything for any of us. He even made a comment about them not even helping when he was trying to stop the other wars that he helped negotiate out of, that he takes credit for. He said the UN never even came in and never offered to come in and help provide support for the ending of those, even when offered.
Yeah, so, I mean, you have this setup where he's obviously going to be pissed when he finds out, too, before the end of this, before he gets about 100 feet away. Some people are saying that the Times had already said this, or that this is going to be said. So he knew right away that this was a purposeful thing, stopping him on the escalator. Then you probably have Secret Service advising him, like, hey, this was actually quite a security threat. We're going to be probably heightening security for the day. And he's probably thinking, this is somebody's out to get me. I'm just tired of it. Something along those lines. If it's not all one big show and one circus, which, again, it very well could be. We're going to cover the rest, and there's a lot. The events that just transpired in the last 24 hours are absolute proof that this is going exactly where most of us believe this is going. Most of our community has been preparing for a massive war coming, and if you look at the last 24 hours, it's pretty hard to say that it's not. Again, I believe that this is absolutely, there's probably 5 or 6 reasons why that the actions of the last 24 hours are trying to start a war, and I mean fast. So make sure to join us on that next show. It is an emergency broadcast on TV, so make sure to join us over there. Again, be safe, be prepared, and Marf out. We'll see you in just a minute over on Marfoogle TV. If you're in the chat, just stay there. You'll be ported over. If you are over on the replays, make sure to click here.